Hello, this is Patrick with TTFR. I decided that I was going to start up a weekly status of my business, and this is also going to function as some how-tos on using my spreadsheet, which I have available on Etsy. So this will be for some of the people that have already purchased it, showing some new features that are being added to it, and then just kind of going over where my business is and where I think it's going. As you can see, this is the front page of my spreadsheet, and where I'm at right now is with 3 cars. I'm at almost $28,000 in total revenue, sneaking up on $12,000 in total profit, and average income per day for the 3 cars is $66, and I got about $16,000 in what I am tracking as deductible expenses through the spreadsheet. I have a 2011 BMW Z4, a 2017 BMW 230i, and a 2012 Audi Q7. One of the reasons I use data, and I use data in my daily job as well, and I don't think you can make intelligent decisions without having good data. So the more you track, the more you can, I think, make smart decisions in just about anything you do, and definitely in Turo. So that's why I use this spreadsheet. And I'm going to go over a little bit of that right now. There's been a lot of ups and downs with Turo and this strange market that we're in because of all the outside forces that are affecting us. And you kind of have to take a look at data to make sure that you've purchased the right cars, the right mix of cars, that you're not competing against yourself, and then tracking, against your competitors in your market or overall across the country. If you've made good car choices, I think I have a good mix. I have a convertible for the weekends. I have an economical, but yet still from a luxury brand, lower end car, which tends to do just as well as the higher end cars of that make. And then I have a 7-passenger SUV. That's a diesel, so it's cheap in the way that it uses one of the cheaper forms of gasoline, whereas most any kind of turbocharged car will be using premium generally and be more expensive to the customer. And you can look at my profit for each individual car. There's some reasons, but I don't use the Audi for Turo as much as the others because I tend to drive that myself because it's useful for me. So it has not earned as much, and it's also had a few more expenses. It was actually out for part of August, and then I had a need for it in August as well, and didn't have a single trip. So you can see that in my profit by car graph here. I actually had a net loss of close to $1,200 that month because it didn't rent at all. And like everybody else, it was a bit of a slow month anyway. So profit on some of my other cars were down as well. But in checking all of this data versus what I need to know, and when I'm making decisions, there's some things I want to do to increase income. And one of the things I've done recently is change my preferences on bookings from nothing shorter than a 2-day trip, because that was convenient for me. And I think it actually did cut off a few of the bad rentals where we had issues with cars that take time out of your day, and time is money. So I'm trying to maximize revenue this month and have all of the cars set to basically any trip length that a guest wants. And for this month, it's done well. As you can see, I'm in the middle of the month, and this does track and includes all of my trips that are in the future as well. So it is where I'm at as far as total trip income for the month, but I still have quite a few openings for rentals, and you can look at my utilization calendar here and see what I have open. And I would say the Z4 is basically booked because it's a weekend car and doesn't tend to book a lot of daytime trips or weekday trips. And I don't know if any of these other days will get populated. It's possible, but it's not as likely. If you go down to the 230, I still have a fair amount of openings for the 230. It tends to go out during weekdays too, depending on what demand is and my comps, whether The lower price ones there's a lot of lower price people in the market, as you know, because people are kind of coming into the market, and new renters are trying to get to all-star hosts, so there tend to be nicer cars that are lower price. But I tend to leave my cars at the profit range that I want them at, which is still lower than what Turo suggests, because I think Turo is shooting high generally on that, and you will miss some rentals if you use the Turo recommended rental price, at least in my market. Maybe different in yours, but I do have some openings for that. And then the Q7s has a good number of openings as well, a good half of the month at least. If you go back to my yearly P&L, days out for this month is only 12 for the 7. About half the month, 15 days are booked for the 230, and 18 days for the Z4. It's kind of an unusual month because usually the 230 goes out the most, and it averages about 18 days per month. It's a pretty popular car, and that's one of the reasons it makes as much money as it does, even though the rate is lower. And if you go to my monthly, in October, we're at 911 for the SUV. Like I said, I have a solid half the month available for that car, and that car tends to go out anytime. It's not necessarily a weekend car, so it will probably gross more than I think any other car this month eventually. It's taken a little while for that, a little longer for that one to be booked, because it's a 7-passenger SUV. The rates that I have it at, which are usually around 90 to 100, or it's generally a pretty good deal. The 230 is at 1,000 for the month, and like I said, I have at least a week. As far as days go, I still have half the month available, so I think I wouldn't be surprised if that made it to 1,500 this month. The Z4 is pretty well booked. I don't know if it will get any more, but it's at one of its best months so far at 1,400, almost sneaking up on 1,500. So I expect that is probably done for the month, which is going to be a good month for it. It had a lot of depreciation last month. Our depreciation kind of across the board for everybody has slowed down because of the used car shortage. Excuse me. And actually, the 2 Series BMW for mine has actually been going up as far as what it's worth throughout the year. And let me go back to the dashboard, and trying to make more decisions. Like, I'm thinking about getting car seats to make those available, but all these things that I think I want to do, the only way you can know if you're doing any better is having data, and that's what the spreadsheet's all about. And I wanted to show both for people that are considering purchasing it, or just anybody that wants to do something similar to this, how I manage data, and when I want to see a particular stat, how I do it. I have this big blue area here on this. If I want to add another chart to that, I just go over to one of the other charts, select it with one click, Control C to copy, bring my cursor back over here, Control V to paste it, and that moves a copy of that particular chart over here. And my OCD is going to make me want to move it in the middle as close as I can. And then we're going to want to edit this chart. And say I want to know more about my days out. I want to compare all the cars in a visual form with a chart. So I'll go into these 3 dots up here and edit the chart. Right now it's set with income per month for the BMW Z4. I'm going to double click on that and change that. Days out per car per month, or whatever you want to call it. And this data is not that, so we're going to change that. And we're going to add a series. We're actually going to remove a series first. We're going to remove the data that's there now. And you see it says no data. So we're going to add a series. Click on the cell, select a data range here. And it's going to say select a data range. And we're going to go into our yearly P&L tab. And what I want to see is initially the Z4. So I'm going to copy all of that. You can see it's populated it to the selected data range here. Hit OK, and we've got our first entry here, which is just the Z4 data. And then we're going to go and add a second series because we want to compare the other cars to it. And we're going to go back to the yearly P&L. Select the 230 data. Hit OK. And just keep doing this until we get all the data we want in there. We're going to go back to the P&L and select the Q7 data. And once that's there, you can see it's all there. It's not labeled the way we want it to, so we're going to go to Customize. And we are going to click on the data labels right here. And now you notice they are all with the labels are for the amount of days out per car. And we can change that as far as the positioning on that. We can put it in the center. We can put it in the inside base, which doesn't work obviously. Outside end. That's not bad, but I generally choose inside end. I like that format myself, but obviously you can choose what you want. Now we know how the cars compare to each other. If we want to know if the trend line or the average is going up or down, whether we're doing better or worse, we can also add a trend line here. There's another checkbox here for trend line. And right now, everything looks like it's going down because the summer was so good. This will continue to even out, hopefully, if I'm doing things right and have made positive changes and keep my revenue up. And I think this month is going to be a good one, so those will start to flatline and even go up, hopefully, throughout the rest of the year. And that's how you add a chart. Also wanted to go into the utilization calendar again, just to let people know that I'm going to be making this automated. So when you add data into your monthlies, I'll go into one right now, and you have, that's car number 4, won't have any. If you have a date here, it will automatically eventually populate these. Right now, to add dates that are being, the utilization is going on, is I select on one of the yellow and choose paint format and then format that row, and that's how I do that right now. I'm going to automate that with some customization on that. And also I wanted to add a trip just so people could see how that is done. I have one trip that I need to add. One of the benefits of having lowered my length of trip requirements is I did get a day trip for the Q7. Copy the reservation number in here and paste, but we only want the values. And it was 10, 15, 10, 16, a single day for $76. And if you notice, it populates, auto-populates the cash flow management over here, and then I will have to add in. So that trip ends on the 16th, which means Turo's payout, if you know how Turo's payouts work, means I will probably get paid on 10/19. And then that all populates back to my new cash flow chart. This is one of the things, it's been added to the spreadsheet. It's not in the one that's on Etsy right now. It'll be added probably in the next week or so, and all of the current people that have purchased the spreadsheet will get it emailed to them, and they will be able to insert it into their spreadsheet as well. And how this works for me is this tracks my bank account with Turo, and I have receivables. That's the trips that I have coming, and I have the amount for those trips. And then once the trip completes and I get paid, I move that amount from the receivables to the income, and same thing goes with expenses. This is how I know I've got enough money in the account. I can tell myself whether I can pay myself or if I can make a principal payment towards the loan on one of the cars. I'll know how much I have to do that with. So I have all my expenses tracked in here, and that's from the per month per car spreadsheets, and they auto-populate here. And actually, I don't do the moving of the receivables to income and the payout to paid here. I do those in the per car per month section, and then that populates to here. But anyway, this tells me what my projected cash flow is based on the trips that I have upcoming and expenses that I have upcoming. Actual cash flow actually should match the bank account, because that's everything that's gone into the bank account from income and everything that's come out from the paid columns. So that's, and then the leftover is what is been forwarded from month to month. So at the end of this month, projected cash flow, if I didn't spend another dime on any expenses, this would probably be 2,055, and that would move to the next month, and that would be basically profit. But anyway, that is everything about the spreadsheet that I wanted to pass on, and just how I'm doing in Turo right now. And I will continue making weekly videos, I believe, just to track how things are doing and any additional features that I add to the spreadsheet. And you guys have a good week.